Hello and welcome to another edition of Elevenses. I'm James Clayton. I'm a display specialist on the UKI market, and I'm going to be taking you through discovery campaigns, or as we're calling this episode, setting up for success with discovery campaigns. But in a little change to the format, there's only a really short deck, shock horror, I know. But one of the beauties of discovery campaigns is how easy they are to set up in Google Ads. So after a brief reminder of what a discovery campaign is, we'll go straight into a demo setup, during which I'll talk about the best practices at each stage. And so the running order will be like this. First of all, we'll remind ourselves what discovery campaigns are. Then we'll go through a brief checklist of what you need before setting up a discovery campaign. Then we'll go into setup. We'll go through bidding, budget, recommended audiences, recommended creatives, measurement and optimization, and then a closing recap. So first off, let's remind ourselves of what discovery campaigns are. So set up for success with discovery campaigns. We know the digital landscape has transformed how consumers are discovering new products. So there was a time when a user would go onto the internet, they would search for what they needed in the early days of e-commerce and purchase that product after searching. However, that consumer journey has evolved considerably online since those days. Consumers are now watching videos, they're reading news feeds, they're on social media, they're on online retailers, and they're on email. So we need to make sure that we're present at every stage of the consumer journey that now exists online. So you know what Google does with search, you know what Google does with YouTube and watching videos, but what are we doing in the display stage? So introducing discovery campaigns. Discovery campaigns are our most exciting new format across only owned and operated properties with only signed in users. So these three properties are the Discover feed, which you'll find if you swipe left on most Android devices or in the Google app, on the YouTube home feed in app, and in Gmail in the social and promotions tab. So these are all properties in which users are looking to be inspired to find new content, new videos and new promotions on their browser, where they can then be inspired to try out their new products. So the real purpose of these campaigns is to inspire users to try out a new product and find new customers. Another element of discovery campaigns is how easy they are to set up, as I alluded to earlier. We can use existing creative assets or existing creative social assets to build an ad in 3 minutes. As you'll see in the demo, it's so simple to find the advertisers' social pages or their website and pull creatives straight across. And finally, discovery campaigns and discovery ads are a performance objective product. We can use them to achieve business goals. I'll talk about the different bidding strategies that we have later on, but some of the objectives can be lead generation, increased awareness, soft goals, and website views. So to recap, it's unique inventory across our owned and operated sites. It's simple to upload creatives using existing social assets, so no additional creative budget required. We can just repurpose those social assets. And finally, it's really easy to set up to drive results. So as you're aware, Google has a multitude of products with over 1 billion users globally. We can use those data points across all of those products to deliver a really high performance campaign. So now we're going to go into the live setup. But first of all, we're going to run through a quick checklist before you set up your campaign. So first of all, discovery campaigns are exclusively available in Google Ads. So do you have an account? Discovery campaigns are currently in beta. Therefore, you need to make sure you're whitelisted. To do this, please speak to your Google point of contact. Discovery campaigns require conversion tracking in Google Ads. If you don't currently have this, it's really easy to import from analytics. You can import Google Analytics Smart goals based on user activity or any other conversion actions that you've defined. And finally, not a requirement, but it's worth bearing in mind whether or not you have social campaigns running, as you can reuse and repurpose these existing social assets for your discovery campaigns. So let's get discovering. We're going to go into a live demo setup. So here we are in your Google Ads account. First of all, we're going to go into all campaigns. We're going to click into campaigns. And then we're going to click the plus to create a new campaign, as you would expect. We're going to do a new campaign. And we're going to select one of the lower funnel goals, so sales, leads, website traffic. Or we're going to create a campaign without a goals guidance. And basically all that means is that you won't get system recommendations based on a goal that you would for one of these three. So we'll go with create a campaign without a goals guidance. And then we're going to choose discovery, and we're going to continue. From here, we're going to name our discovery campaign, which can be absolutely whatever you like. So we'll do James Pixel 3XL. Next is on to locations and languages. So you can have any mixture of locations and languages here. As the languages, the advertisement is served based on a user's browser settings. So if their browser setting is set to English, no matter the location they're in, it will serve to them, and then you pick the locations at the top. But you'll find, generally we find that most advertisers will do different markets in different campaigns due to the fact you'll have different creatives, different translations, if the account isn't already split at an account level by market. Secondly, we're going to look at bidding and budget, which is a really important stage to ensure that the campaign gets off to a really good start. So as we established earlier, you must have conversion tracking in your Google Ads account to be able to use discovery ads. This is because the two bid strategies are target CPA and max conversions. Getting bidding and budget right at the start is super important to get through the machine learning phase as quickly as possible. As with all display, we have a huge amount of inventory available, meaning our algorithms just have a huge amount of data to crunch to get the campaign running at maximum efficiency. So we need to be bold and patient with our bids and budget to give the system the best possible chance. If you don't know what your CPA is at the minute, but you would really like to get involved with discovery campaigns, we should use maximize conversions, as over time this setup, along with optimizations, will help you identify the best possible CPA for your activity. And the recommendation would be a campaign in the region of 15 to 30k, depending on the advertiser, across a 6-week campaign. But of course, talk to your Google point of contact to get a recommendation for the campaign. If you have generic search already, or display remarketing or other display activity as reference points, we can look to set a target CPA. We'd recommend a target CPA of, at the start at least, 40 to 60% higher than your 30-day performance. And your daily budget should be at least 10 times this figure in order to get through the machine learning phase as quickly as possible. So we are going to set a target cost per action. And we also have suggestions here, and this suggestion that you see here will be based on other activity in your account. So we'll go ahead and take the suggested bid, and then we'll have a target CPA campaign. So as it says there, the campaign will use target CPA bid strategy. Then for the budget, as our target CPA is 1065, we would normally make the budget, we'll make the budget 120, just to ensure we have at least 10 per day. Delivery method will be standard, and then we can start to take a look at additional settings. So you have the ad schedule. First of all, as we're using high intent audiences generally like remarketing, we wouldn't usually recommend limiting the campaign by ad schedule, as you may be missing out on a really high value customer if you turn it off at a certain time, but there may be some restrictions. Start and end dates, we'll set our start date to next month, and then we won't set an end date for now. Campaign URL options, so this is where you can add in third-party click tracking if necessary. Conversion, so we have a choice between choosing conversion actions for the campaign or just using all of the conversions that are in the manager account. We'll keep that at manager account level conversions. And content exclusions, so these are all feed-based products, so you're on the home feed of the three properties, so Gmail, Discover and YouTube. So we would expect them to be brand safe, but there is still brand safety exclusions still apply. So next we're going to move on to our ad groups. Ad groups is split into two parts, audiences and creatives. We already picked our markets earlier on in location settings, and in ad groups this is where we decide who we want to target and with what creative we want to target them. Given that we're optimizing towards conversions, the higher intent the audience, the better the performance generally. Therefore, we'd recommend using remarketing lists, in-market audiences, custom intent, customer match, and life events. And we're also seeing really great performance from similar audiences to remarketing lists. The recommendation is to have the ad groups split out by audience type, especially remarketing versus other high intent. And then we can have another ad group if necessary for affinity audiences and much higher funnel audiences. If we need to kind of scale up further with demographics and things, we can have that in a separate ad group. But at the start of a campaign, we really recommend just using the high intent audiences to just drive as much performance as possible. So here we are advertising the Google Pixel 3 XL. So we're going to look for those interested in phones, those in market for mobile phones, in the market for tablets and laptops as well. So they are our three audiences selected. And we're also going to toggle the audience expansion tool. So the audience expansion tool finds people that are similar to the audiences you currently have that are also likely to convert. And it's a bit of a common misconception that can lead to a deterioration in performance, which isn't true. So the audience expansion will only target users that are equally likely to convert as your current audiences or more likely to convert. So we would never see a dip in performance with that toggled. We would only see increased reach and or an improvement in performance. Then we have the option to choose demographics. As we're using high intent audiences such as remarketing and in-market, we wouldn't recommend using these as we wouldn't want to limit the potential audience pool. And then finally, we're looking at creatives. So we need to upload creatives for this specific ad group. We'll choose a static ad, although you can use a discovery carousel ad instead. And then from here, we need to add in a final URL. So I'll just copy that quickly. We pop that in there. And then we add our images and logos. So as soon as you put a final URL in, the system will scan the site, and it will also give us the ability to scan Facebook page, Twitter page, and other social media pages. For discovery campaigns, we need at least one landscape image and one square image, as well as a logo. So the images that have been found online, we'll use those. So we'll use this one as square as it fits better. We'll use this asset in landscape and square as well. And then we'll take our logo here. So then we have our assets set up and ready to go, but we can have up to 15 images. We can have 5 headlines and 5 descriptions, and there are many different places you can get the images from. So we can scan websites here. You can upload straight from your computer. We can use stock images, recently used, and then assets that you're using on current campaigns already. So if we go ahead and save there, we'll start to get a preview for what the ad's going to look like. And as you can see on the right here, we also have weekly estimates. So it's telling us roughly how many impressions we might get every week. So then we will look at headlines first of all. So we want the headlines because we want to use high resolution imagery on the creatives. We don't want to be adding a call to action on the image itself, and so all of the text should be kept in the headlines and the descriptions. To maximize performance, best practices should be followed here. So a general principle to bear in mind is that your targeting, bidding strategy and assets should all be aligned. If we're targeting users that are interested in men's fashion and our conversion action is an on-site purchase, then we should be showing men's fashion products to inspire them, leading through to a men's fashion product page. The issue with using a generic branding image leading through to a website homepage is that the conversion route is then significantly longer and performance could be compromised. So our images should be high quality, not include the CTA on the image itself, and then we'll start to add some headlines here. So if we do introducing the Google Pixel 3 XL. You can have up to 5 headlines. We recommend having as many as possible to allow the system to optimize towards the best performing. And then in our descriptions, we can have the smartest phone in town. We then need to add a business name. So we'll go with Google Pixel 3 XL. And we'll add a call to action. So we can either automate this so it chooses the best performing, or you can pick, and so we'll go with shop now. And then we can add this to our ad group. So a quick check over. We have our campaign name, locations, languages, bids set to the target CPA with a budget of at least 10 times the target CPA. Our ad schedule is normal, the start and end dates. We have our ad groups created with our separate ad groups for separate types of audiences. And then finally, we have our creatives. So we're going to click Create Campaign. And here's one I made earlier. So as we go into the campaign here, we can see that it's eligible to go. It's ready to set live. And once we have our campaign set up at this stage, we can then look to create further ad groups. So if we add another ad group, we can then do our remarketing lists, we can then do affinity lists or demographic lists. In here. So once we have all of our ad groups set up in the place that we want them, we can set the campaign live. And once the campaign's been set live, we should leave the campaign to run for 2 weeks at least to allow machine learning to start to optimize effectively. However, if we are running on target CPA, we see by the 3rd or 4th day that spend has dropped significantly, then we'd suggest that maybe there's something not quite right. And we should look at making some changes, a change of bid strategy, adding some audiences, or increasing the target CPA. Once the campaign's live and running, we can measure performance in the Google Ads interface. And we should make sure to include view-through conversions to ensure we're seeing the full impact of the campaign. Like with most display and video campaigns, we would expect discovery campaigns to also positively influence your search activity and hopefully encourage more users to search for the given product. In the first week, we're in the machine learning phase. The second week, we're starting to test and optimize by removing any audiences or creatives that aren't working. And in the third week, we're in full optimization mode. At that point, we can increase the bid in chunks of 10 to 20%. For audiences, we can use the audience reporting tool to remove audiences that aren't performing well. And inspiration for new audiences can be found in the audience planner. There we go. No. In the audience manager. And in the audience manager, it will show us, we can go into audience insights. And in a normal account, it will show you what audiences are performing really well that aren't currently being targeted. With creatives, we can then do asset level reporting. So if we go into ads and extensions again, we'll be able to see which assets are performing well. So we're currently under review, but as you can see over here with the headlines and with the images, your performance is over in the right hand side. So it's currently pending, but after the campaign's been running a little while, it will have low, good and best as the 3 performance indicators. And we recommend really after every 2 weeks, we should be taking out those assets that have low performance and replacing them with new assets. So we can really use this as a tool to test new asset ideas whilst optimizing the campaign. So that's the setup done. I hope that was clear, that it's relatively easy to set up despite the slow Wi-Fi. I really hope that's been helpful. The combination of highly visual creatives and Google's powerful automation technology makes us really excited to see what discovery campaigns can help advertisers achieve. If you'd like further info, please don't hesitate to contact your Google point of contact further information. So that's all from me. Thanks very much for your engagement,